All right, guys, watch out with that apply button. Take a step back from your computer and listen to what I have to say first, please, before you get this card. Hey, everyone. Welcome to What's the Points? My name is Mike. I've been traveling for many years, and I am a little new to the hotel game, and I'm certainly new to YouTube content creation. However, I have many cards, too many, about 30. My first video, I was walking through every single card I have and why I got it and why I'm keeping it. But now I want to laser in more specifically on this Venture X. There's a tremendous amount of hype around this card. Is it worth it? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no, it's not. Now, I have this card myself. I have not completely decided whether I'm going to downgrade it in year two. However, I think it's worth exploring a little bit what the rationale that we're hearing as the reason why we should get this card, and really examine that. Examine, well, actually, is this the best card for me? Now, everyone has their own situation. Your mileage may vary. Please use credit responsibly. What I have come to realize, there is an exceptionally narrow use case for this card. Let me sell you on why. All right. Number one, lowest effective annual fee, supposedly. Um, well, let's really challenge that, okay? Because we need to look at which travel card are we going to get the most value out of. Now, why are we using the Fisher Price My First Travel credit card if our goal is aspirational travel? Because guys, listen, this is what I've realized about this card. It's limiting you to cashing out through transfer partners to get reliable value. So, what does this mean? Does this mean that you're not doing any economy travel? How much are you traveling? Because at a certain point, if you're traveling enough, especially a mix of economy and luxury travel, you're going to want to have a card that has more flexibility. The Chase Sapphire Reserve, for example, gets you 1.5 points. Shoot, even the $95 Chase Sapphire Preferred will get you 1.25 multiplier. So you really got to look at this and say, well, okay, I'm going to choose this card instead of the other ones because why? Because maybe you want a simpler setup. Okay, what does that mean exactly? Simpler. Does that mean fewer cards? Do you want to only have to use this one or maybe the Duo? Now, I admit I do like the Capital One Duo. The Saver one is a good card. However, uh, we really need to look at, again, what are our travel needs here? Because otherwise we could go with Team Cashback, or my preferred is to do Team Hybrid. For example, right now, even though I have both the Sapphire Reserve and the Venture X, I also recently got the US Bank Altitude Reserve. Now this card, I really like this card because it is a travel card and it gets you up to 4.5 times earning on all mobile wallet purchases. To me, this is a superior earning potential compared to the 2 times Capital One miles on all purchases. So you might come to me and say, hey, Mike, well, sure, yeah, that seems fine, but that only has 8 lounge visits per year. All right. So again, let's look at this very specific use case. You're traveling, but not so much that you need the actual premium perks. You don't need the full priority pass of the Sapphire Reserve or the Centurion Lounge access with American Express Platinum. No, you only want the Venture X. You need unlimited priority pass, but you don't care about restaurants. And you know that you're going to cash out these points on travel purchases, and you're content with using that for 1 cent per point, or you are planning aspirational travel but only want this card to be your primary driver for aspirational travel, guys, is this an entry level card or is it an advanced card? Because I'm sorry, aspirational travel to me is very advanced. Now, I say this as someone who's done a lot of international traveling. However, admittedly, I have not yet done an international business lie flat business class redemption yet. Nor have I gone to as far away destination from the states, at least as Bora Bora. So take that with a grain of salt. However, my argument here, there is an exceptionally limited use case for this card. Why are you getting it? Is it the three Capital One lounges that exist? Admittedly, those look great. However, I don't live in a city that has one of those lounges, nor have I heard any voicing of plans for there to be one in my area. So again, why did I get this card? Well, I fell for the hype. I'll just admit it right there. The hype, and I wanted to try it. Right? I'm a curious person, and I thought, well, I have a lot of ultimate rewards points with Chase. I have a good amount of American Express membership rewards points, and a fair amount of miles with different airlines, and a lot of hotel points. So this card locks you into using the travel portal, not only to get your fee back. And okay, let's take a step back on this. I really want to unpack this. We have been told it's so easy. All you got to do is travel once and you'll get your fee back. But guys, we need a higher standard here, right? It's not enough to break even. It's not worth taking up a spot on your credit report or a potential spot for 524 for getting Chase bonus, or not just bonus, but actually getting any card at all. We should be very deliberate, right? Because there's a lot of ways to get value from these cards. Sign up bonus is great, but I'm of the opinion that there is almost always a keeper card that has a high sign up bonus available. Uh, and I really challenge if this is a keeper card. I challenge it because ultimately, I don't trust Capital One's customer service. I don't like being locked into a point system that I'm only going to get zero point 0.5 cents per point if I have to cash out or want to cash out these points. So that forces me to either get 1 cent per point through pay yourself back in the statement credits for travel purchases, with no bonus earn. And again, this brings me to what are we using this card for? Is it for earning? Is it for premium lounge access? I get it. We want something that will be simple here, but I really have to wonder, well, how is this simpler? How is this simpler than the Sapphire Reserve or even the Sapphire Preferred? Because if this is if you're newer to the travel game, in my opinion, you're probably going to be a mix of economy and aspirational travel, right? So therefore, why not get the reliably higher rate uh, for use through Chase, for example? I mean, even Amex, you have the option of getting the Schwab Platinum. It's very easy to set up a Schwab account with no money. So anyone can get the Schwab Platinum if you really got to cash out on your points there. I don't think that it makes sense for this card to stay in my wallet when I already have the Sapphire Reserve as my premium travel card, which I know will get me better lounge access, which I know will more reliably get me value in terms of cashing out those points. And they regularly have bonuses. For example, they just had a 1.5 times bonus for buying through the Apple Store. So to me, I just see there being more flexibility and more value overall in how you use points with Chase than with Capital One. And you're not locked into this travel portal. Because let's face it, no matter how many bells and whistles they add on to your ticket, it's simply not worth as much. It's not. How do I know this? It's math. It's simple math, right? Because instead of buying it directly through the hotel or through the airline, Now you've got this intermediary who is getting a cut. So something's got to give. That means you're losing value on the value of that ticket. And if you need to change something last minute instead of being able to do it through the airline, now you get to get on the phone and solve it through them. Now, I've done this with Chase. It works. It's not great though. All right, guys, so let's wrap this up here. So you need to ask yourself, does this card give me effective positive value as my primary driver? If instead you're looking at a multiple card setup like mine, please be aware that's a much more complicated calculus. This particular video, I'm assuming that you're looking at this for having simplicity in your setup and earning reliable value while also getting premium travel perks with the least amount of obligation, perhaps financial obligation. But is the difference in this case, I've compared to 3 different cards here, and there's a lot more that we can also look at depending on how much we travel, which benefits we need, and how much we value those. And how much do we discount using through the portal? Because we must, ladies and gentlemen, we must discount the value of those redemptions. We have to, because that flexibility has value. Even if you don't have to use it, it's there. Just as those travel insurances are there, which actually, now that I think about it, do we get them in the same way? I haven't actually researched that. Um, each time we do something different from the most standard case, we bear additional risk, whether that risk is additional inflexibility of having to deal with substandard customer service. Travel portals, to me, are a shaky value proposition. I do appreciate how Capital One appears to be innovating in this space. They're using Hopper, which does have a prettier interface. I was excited to try out this card and to use that. In conclusion, though, um, and maybe this is me, maybe I have slightly more capacity, I suppose, to look at different options, but I feel like that's due diligence anyway, right? You're always going to price out anything you buy from at least 2 different sources, right? For anything you buy. Conscious money, I mean, this is what this is ultimately about, right? Being more conscious and conscientious with how we use our money. That's what this is about, and getting the most value for that. And so it's extremely important, guys, to always look through the hype and be willing to look critical at each point. And in this case, to use as a last example, uh, the price protection and um, I forget what the other is. 2 benefits being touted now that this has that other portals don't have, where you have to call in. And sorry, guys, I'm not going to do that. It's not worth saving the $12 to me or whatever, having to get on the phone, um, do that whole thing. There's better ways, easier ways, less stressful ways to get value out of this without creating a situation that could potentially multiply the stress later, which to me undoes the whole reason why we're doing this, right? I believe, right? To enjoy new experience and to have that be as smooth an experience as possible, including the amount of resources and time and energy that we have to contribute to the planning of it, the actual execution of it, and so forth. The paying of the bills later on, of course. So take a look at this. I feel like this is something that others aren't talking about. You have better options, I think, for most use cases. This is the piece that I see missing from most other discussions on this. So I implore you, take a look at your use case and ask yourself, is there a better card that might do this? If instead, again, it's more like a both and, more power to you. I think that this card has a lot going for it. And if you don't mind the portal and you feel gung ho on Capital One for whatever reason, great. That's all I'm asking of you, dear audience, is that you actually be willing to look through the hype, willing to look through the marketing, and look at the numbers. It doesn't mean you need to have a massive spreadsheet. Just look at it realistically, right? Enjoy the fact that there is an art as well as the science here. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have perfect information in order to make a decision on getting it or not getting it. But in this case, patience will win the day. I believe take a little bit of extra effort and energy up front. Make sure that this card really does fit because I feel that this card doesn't fit into as many setups from strictly a value proposition, and I will most likely be downgrading this later. That said, if I go to a lounge and my socks are blown off and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to transfer through Denver anytime I go anywhere now, because I really want to use that lounge. I admit they're great. Like a nice lounge, it's great to have along the way, but I'm not going to inconvenience myself. And to be honest, my player two is definitely not going to be into that, right? We did this one time where we left security to go back in to go uh, get a different lounge. Never again. It's no way, at least at the airport that we fly out of. So thank you for your time, everyone. I hope this was helpful to you. You know the drill on liking and subscribing. This is a new channel, so actually your like and subscribe would be massively helpful in terms of helping this channel get off its feet to offer a more critical perspective and be part of this community that we are working together to help each other out. Because it's either us or it's the banks telling us what's the best way to do it. I think you know my thought and the answer to that. Ciao.